are gonna have up to, I think, about 25 pounds of resistance. You can't really see how much resistance you're using, and that can make it a little harder over time to see if there's been real progression. What's up, guys? So we are going to be doing an experiment with the Iron Neck 3.0. If it looks like I just woke up, it's because I did, day after Christmas, and got out of a very deep carb coma. So back to regular training now, and we're gonna do this review. So as I mentioned in the little clip, this is the Iron Neck. You can see it's pretty big, kind of looks like Raiden in some of the thumbnails you'll see out there. And the main difference between this and the Pro is that this just kind of goes around, whereas with the Pro, you can tighten it so that it's harder for this mechanism to go around. What I've noticed though in videos of people using that is that it seems like it's very awkward, and that is not really a mechanism that I'd want. Basically, it makes the rotation more difficult, but it seems to kind of skip and skip and skip when people do that. And again, so that's not what we're gonna be testing out here. So I've actually been training my neck directly since 2017, and there are a number of videos on my channel about that. You might be thinking, Dave, I'm looking at your neck right now. How have you been training that since 2017? It's not very big, and I would agree with you. However, I would say that when I started training it, I was 190 pounds, and at the Adam's apple, so obviously you can get much bigger measurements if you just bring it down here and you include the traps, but at the Adam's apple, it was 15¼ inches. It is now at that same body weight, 16¼ inches, but I have dieted down, and so being about 10 pounds lighter than that, it has lost size. So we're starting at about 15.75 inches right at the Adam's apple. Again, obviously not a large measurement, but significantly bigger than what it was. And at a given body weight, it's about an inch bigger than before I did direct training. You'll see some people like Alex Leonidas and Jeff Nippard who have a number of training videos out there on neck directly, and they had seen closer to 2+ inches of growth from direct neck training. So obviously it's going to be individual, but for me at that point, I was already training for many, many years, and I was happy to gain an inch there. And you can see a difference even in like certain pictures and whatnot. Not a huge difference, but for me, it was something that I wanted to try. And I would caution anybody who already has a thick neck in trying to get it even thicker. There may be concerns for things like sleep apnea, but if you're starting with a relatively thin or even just normal neck, it's not something I would be too concerned about. So I wanted to give this a shot. We've seen it on Joe Rogan and many other places many times. It's kind of almost like a meme or joke in the fitness industry because of how ridiculous it looks, but I figured why not? So what I'm going to do is at least 5 days per week, I'm going to use this for 10 to 20 minutes with various exercises, and we can just post up some various examples of exercises with the Iron Neck. And I'm gonna be doing that for the next 2 months, and then I'm going to re-measure. And I'm gonna try to keep body weight about the same. The reason being is that, as I mentioned earlier, there's obviously a correlation between measurements in general and body weight. And so somebody could do an arm specialization phase, but if they lost 10 pounds, their arms are probably going to get smaller, both in terms of the measurement, possibly in terms of the actual muscularity because you're in a deficit. So in this situation, I want to keep body weight about the same. Is that the best way to gain muscle? No, I would say it's not. But if you have a new stimulus, oftentimes you can still gain size without actual body weight gains. Again, as evidenced by the fact that I gained about an inch back when I started training in 2017. Now, what I will say is that inch was gained in the first year, and then since then it's basically just kind of maintained. That even included times where I was going up to 3 times a week frequency. So when I had a regular neck harness, I was doing neck extensions and neck flexions 1 time a week, 3 sets each. I eventually ramped that up to 3 times a week, 3 sets of each. And I even added some side extensions and different things. And honestly, I just didn't see any growth beyond that inch. Even when I gained weight, yes, obviously it would go up when I'd gain weight, but when I go back down to the same body weight, it was basically the same. So this is just something different. Now, this is more of an isometric. So if you've seen the exercises for the Iron Neck, you'll see that it's mostly a twisting against resistance. And in fact, I'll show the resistance band that they offer. And this is basically what that looks like. So they have various attachments where you can put it into a door or on a cable, and you are gonna have up to, I think, about 25 pounds of resistance. But I find band training to be annoying in general because you can't really see how much resistance you're using. And so you don't really know if you're progressing. Anybody who's watched my channel knows that I am big on progressive overload, and I want to know what's changing over time. And when you have a band, even if you have a different band than this that kind of maxes out at 25 pounds, you can just keep going, but you're just kind of going as hard as you can, and that can make it a little hard over time to see if there's been real progression. I actually did my first month ever of neck training back in 2017 with bands, and I saw no growth. And then it was the next month when I actually switched to weights that I saw growth. Now, it's only a month in at that first initial time with the bands. It's possible that I would have gotten growth with the bands. There's certainly no reason you couldn't get growth with bands. There's no real mechanism there that it wouldn't work. That was just my personal experience, and I didn't really enjoy it. So what I plan to use is my home gym cable stack and use that as the resistance, and then I hopefully can increase that weight over time. I actually have done some isometrics with my regular neck harness before, which I will show, but that is something that I never really, again, saw great progress with in terms of any changes with my neck. So my expectation here going into it is that I'm probably not going to see a lot because, again, I'm already doing direct neck training 1 time per week with weights, and that is something that has been able to more or less maintain the size after that initial increase in size. But we'll see. We'll see if doing the very high frequency here with the iron neck makes a difference and if there's any changes there. And it's a different stimulus. Again, you're kind of doing a lot of rotations and everything. There's different movements that you can do with the neck while you have this on. We'll see if that makes any difference. So this is the neck harness that I've had. I was basically just trying it on. You can see it obviously makes your hair look ridiculous, but essentially you just put it on. What I find is that your ear basically just kind of comes out to the side. It can be somewhat uncomfortable depending on the amount of weight that you're using, but this is just like a generic one off of Amazon, probably $20, $25. Whereas the one from Iron Neck has a lot more areas where you can put the weight on both sides there, on the side down here, on the front and on the back. You can see the Alpha harness Plus is a little bit thicker. And the reason I got both was because honestly, the Alpha harness looked more comfortable to me. It looked like there was just too much going on with the Alpha harness Plus. So I figured I'd try both. Just upon feeling both of them, I have a feeling that I am going to end up sticking with just the regular Alpha harness. That was about $40 compared to the Alpha Harness Plus was closer to $70. You can just get a general one on Amazon, probably for $20, I would guess these days. What I did notice is with both of these harnesses here, it goes over your ears a little bit more comfortably compared to the standard one, kind of sits on your ears and can be somewhat uncomfortable depending on the position. But the main focus is going to be on the Iron Neck. So the Iron Neck 3.0, there is also the Iron Neck 3.0 Pro, with the main difference being that that one has a locking mechanism that can make it harder to rotate. There's also various inserts that go into the Iron Neck. So if you have different size head, you can have a smaller attachment, a larger attachment, and the one that comes with it is just kind of the middle attachment there as far as size. There is a mechanism that you can pump it up to make it significantly tighter, or you can release that to take off some of that tightness. And then there is a strap underneath that allows you to kind of stabilize in there. Again, I'm not taking neck training super seriously. This is an experiment that I'm doing. I used to take it more seriously, and I've kind of settled into the once per week training of it at this point, just to kind of maintain that 1 inch or so gain that I had from it. And I also kind of wonder about injury prevention as well. That is one of the things I'm interested to see with the Iron Neck, because again, it is static and isometric. I actually think that they do a good job with their target audience, because if you look, they market the harnesses for growth, but they don't really seem to market the Iron Neck itself for growth. I know people use that for growth. Again, Rogan and other people have talked about it for that, but they market for injury prevention, which is a great strategy for them because frankly, there are way more people with neck pain and wanting to prevent neck pain than there are wanting to grow their neck. So I think, if you look at like MMA and boxing and whatnot, it's very standard to use the neck harness, but there are many people, just regular day jobs, who are leaning forward typing all day, people like me who are dentists, who are doing surgeries throughout the day, who are really having to get specific, who develop neck pain. Fortunately, I haven't developed any neck pain up to this point. And is that related to the 7 years or so of direct neck training? I don't know, but I do kind of question how decades of direct neck training would be for the cervical spine. If you have weighted extensions and flexions, I don't know. I don't know if there's research on that, but I would potentially question that. Whereas I could definitely see benefit to having an isometric where you are resisting against different forces from different angles and rotation and whatnot. So from an injury standpoint, I could see it. Again, I think it's probably smart marketing for them. And I could see it for somebody with a career like myself, where you are really trying to prevent any future issues there. So for the time being, I am going to do it with a high frequency and take it seriously just to see if there's any changes in size. But I think even if there aren't, I'm going to probably keep it around long term. And eventually I may change my neck training to just being that if it maintains a size. My thought is if either way I'm going to be maintaining size and it's not going to grow, then I might as well do it in a way that is safe and effective long term. And I train at home, so it kind of doesn't matter how ridiculous I may look doing it. And I'd probably just do it at a once or maybe twice per week frequency for 10 to 15 minutes, something like that. So that is the intro video here. I was going to have this be one very long video with the results afterwards, but I figure I'm gonna just put this out here, get people's thoughts. Maybe people can comment down below on their thoughts about it. Maybe they can say that they tried it. If you have tried it or if you've seen other people try it, tell me what you think, what you might expect for something like this. Again, this is just kind of like a fun experiment for me to do, something new. I would say that it is pricey. This alone was over $300 between both neck harnesses, one of which I will return, and the Iron Neck. The Iron Neck Pro is something like $400 to $500, and you can get a bundle that's 600 plus. I mean, it's really kind of ridiculous for the average person, in my opinion. If you just get the Pro, you can probably get that for under 300. But again, price-wise, I don't know if I'd recommend it for most people. If you do just want to do isometrics, you could probably do that with just the harness and just use the cable stack or band and just do the isometrics. I don't know if that anti-rotation and everything is necessarily the key to it. But again, we'll see how it goes with this. I'm interested to see what I notice with it. If you guys have comments or any other experiments or pieces of equipment that you'd like me to try, let me know. At this point, it's kind of fun to try different things just to see what happens. So I will make another video in a couple of months and we will just do an update. Again, I just measured my neck under the Adam's apple, 15.75 inches, pretty much exact there. Neck is one of the harder things to measure, to be consistent with in my experience, because a little shift can make a significant difference. But that's the measurement I'm getting now. Again, it's been up to almost 17 inches at the Adam's apple when I was bulked up, but it's very dependent, of course, on your body weight, so that's gonna be a very relevant factor here. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for today, and I will check back in 1 to 2 months.